Now, Mary Margaret, what are we watching here? What should we be aware of?
Well, J.D. Vance just went in there like a bulldog, and I think everyone was expecting him to talk about Ukraine, talk about Russia, perhaps even Gaza. But what we heard was like what we were just talking about, this threat from within on censorship. And I found it particularly fascinating how he named a bunch of different incidents of these European nations coming after citizens over free speech issues or hate speech. In particular, he brought up this father who I've written about, this man, Adam, whose girlfriend aborted his baby. And Adam in the UK went to that abortion clinic and was outside praying for his unborn child that is no longer with us. And he was arrested by these UK authorities and penalized for just praying in his head. And there's been a bunch of instances like this, and if people don't believe me, you gotta go and look at it because it's real. So J.D. Vance brought this up. Everyone was able to shine a light on that, and I think it's so important that we hear these real examples because they really happen. Good
thing that doesn't happen here except at Catholic churches and outside abortion clinics in Washington where they arrest grandmothers for praying and throw them in prison for years. But Vice President Vance also called out European nations and their leaders for forfeiting their defense of democracy following the end of the Cold War, which we allegedly won.
Unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Free speech and retreat here, there, everywhere. Now, James, what are we looking at? What are we hearing from the administration, and is it the right message?
No, I think it's a spot-on message, and I think it reiterates what we saw last election cycle, is the American people are sick and tired of us capitulating on the international stage, and it's about American superiority. And I think it's high time that we have an American leader who's willing to go across the pond and reiterate what we all know. And that is, if you're going to continue to receive funding from us, if you're going to continue to call us your friend, then you need to instill and implement American values. And at our core as a nation is the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression. We're going to celebrate next year 250 years when we sent a famous letter across the pond demanding the freedom of speech and expression. So I think Vice President J.D. Vance did a tremendous job today, and I think it's time that the international community starts listening.
Yeah, I think that's true. Now, a lot of us, Jason, feel that, you know, it's, American values, Western values are very much under assault, under attack. You've got the Russians and the Chinese and the Islamists, and you've got the left in the United States and American values under attack. Is this the right message, or is it too much for you?
Well, first of all, when he's talking, you know, you made a reference to global elite. And when you look at J.D. Vance and the Trump administration, you know, I don't know who's more elite than Musk or Thiel or Andreessen or Zuckerberg or Sachs. It seems like the people that they surround themselves are the elite of the elite. I don't know how you can be the wealthiest man in human history and not be part of the elite. You know, I think Russia was definitely cheering. You know, you also referenced the Cold War and saying, you know, we supposedly won the Cold War, but then he's talking to our allies and not paying attention very much and saying, oh, the threat's not Russia, when I think Ronald Reagan would be rolling over in his grave if he saw some of the things that he's been seeing in terms of Russia going in and starting this bloody war in Ukraine. You know, and as far as free speech, you look at Elon Musk, who literally threatened journalists with jail, who exposed some of the Doge employees. He's also silenced people on the right who were critical of him on the H-1B visas, like Laura Loomer and others, and took away their check marks and whatever it is on Twitter, on whatever X is. You know, so the idea that he is supposed to be, and this administration is pro-free speech and pro-American values as far as the First Amendment is concerned, I think is not really standing up to what they've been doing.
Oh, I'd say it's very much standing up to what they've been doing. These global elites that you're referring to, these billionaires, are fighting for free speech and Western values, which is what we're talking about J.D. Vance saying today. And I don't see George Soros doing a lot of that, or Nancy Pelosi, or Joe Biden, or anybody on that side of the fence.
Information, truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.